This lesson will study the 5 steps of the plot outline. So when reading a story, be it a short story or a novel, one can think of the action of that story as being organized in a diagram such as this one and being split up into 5 steps. The exposition is the first step of the plot outline. It's right at the beginning of a story, and it's generally where readers are introduced to the setting and the main characters of the story. Still towards the beginning of the story, we find the exciting force. This is the action in which a conflict arises. So towards the beginning of the story, something will happen to kind of disturb the main character and the setting. This is the step which starts all of the action of the novel. The rising action is the middle step of the plot outline. It's the long middle part of a story in which the conflict, which began at the exciting force, is developed, so we get more detail about what's going on, we get more detail about the characters, and the suspense continues to build. Towards the end of the story, we get what's called the climax. So this is where all of the action has been building up. It's towards the end of the story, but the readers aren't quite sure yet how the story will end. The end of a story is called the resolution. This is the last step of the plot outline, and this is where the conflict is resolved. So the character and the setting, once again, are at peace or at a regular state. Now, in order to better understand the steps of the plot outline, we're going to look at a classic children's story and break it up into these different steps. So you'll be hearing the story of Goldilocks and the 3 Bears. Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Goldilocks. She went for a walk in the forest. So this is the exposition. So already you can see we've been introduced to the main character, Goldilocks, and we've also been introduced to the setting, the forest. Pretty soon, she came upon a house. She knocked, and when no one answered, she walked right in. So this is the exciting force. This is the single event which is going to start all of the other events in the story. So you can see how, had Goldilocks never seen this house or entered it, she would have never lived the rest of the story. At the table in the kitchen, there were 3 bowls of porridge. Goldilocks was hungry. She tasted the porridge from the first bowl. "This porridge is too hot," she exclaimed. So she tasted the porridge from the second bowl. "This porridge is too cold," she said. So she tasted the last bowl of porridge. "Ah, this porridge is just right," she said happily, and she ate it all up. After she'd eaten the 3 bears' breakfasts, she decided she was feeling a little tired, so she walked into the living room where she saw 3 chairs. Goldilocks sat in the first chair to rest her feet. "This chair is too big," she exclaimed. So she sat in the second chair. "This chair is too big too," she whined. So she tried the last and smallest chair. "Ah, this chair is just right," she sighed. But just as she settled down into the chair to rest, it broke into pieces. Goldilocks was very tired by this time, so she went upstairs to the bedroom. She lay down in the first bed, but it was too hard. Then she lay in the second bed, but it was too soft. Then she lay down in the third bed, and it was just right. She fell asleep. So we can see here how all of these events are happening in the middle of the story. They're just showing us a little bit more about the character, Goldilocks, what she's like, what she's doing, and readers can start to anticipate how this might create trouble for her. As she was sleeping, the 3 bears came home. "Someone's been eating my porridge," growled the Papa Bear. "Someone's been eating my porridge," said the Mama Bear. "Someone's been eating my porridge and they ate it all up," cried the baby bear. Someone's been sitting in my chair, growled the papa bear. Someone's been sitting in my chair, said the mama bear. Someone's been sitting in my chair, and they've broken it all to pieces, cried the baby bear. They decided to look around some more, and when they got upstairs to the bedroom, Papa Bear growled, "Someone's been sleeping in my bed." "Someone's been sleeping in my bed too," said the mama bear. I'm going to stop there for a moment just to show you how the suspense is really building up for the readers here, because they know that Goldilocks is the one who ate the porridge, who broke the chair, and she's now sleeping in one of the beds, so inevitably the bears will find her soon. "Someone's been sleeping in my bed, and she's still there," exclaimed Baby Bear. Just then, Goldilocks woke up and saw the three bears. She screamed, "Help!" and she jumped up and ran out of the room. So we can see here that this is the climax. This is the highest point of action. We're not quite sure how it's going to end yet. We don't know what the bears will do to Goldilocks. Goldilocks ran down the stairs, opened the door, and ran away into the forest, and she never returned to the home of the three bears. So now we've got our resolution. Now we know how things have ended. We have a sense of finality. Goldilocks is away from the bears. She's safe. All is well. And that has been the lesson on the 5 steps of the plot outline.